And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of El Dorado, we have the Canadian Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing Basilisk, living in the land of South Korea. It is Trigger. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Protoss player from South Korea. One of the best Protoss players in all of South Korea, second only to Hero. It is a Classic. I was going to introduce him in a different way, but of course, as a reminder, Classic did recently leave his team. He was on Twisted Minds for a very long time, but has since become a free agent, which means these open events are that much more important for a player like Classic, and we'll see how he does compare against Trigger. Again, they have been going back and forth. Specifically in PvP, Trigger has been an animal. We've seen Trigger take down players like Creator, take down Hero, take down Classic as well over the past couple of weeks. But typically what I will say is that Trigger has been relying heavily on all-ins. Speaking of all-ins, we do have economic starts. Remember, we're on El Dorado. What does that mean? Ramp coming into the natural, which means gate expands. Double gas opener out of Trigger, double gases out of Classic, which means this could be the beginning of Phoenix Wars. Oh boy. Here we go. Now, the way this works, as you can imagine, is we have a gate into Cybercore. Because of the second gas, that means that we will have enough gas to throw down a tech structure when the Cybercore is done, and that is traditionally a Stargate. That is typically going to be a Stargate opener. If a player can, they will go for the Nexus first, but that is why we have probes. That is why both Classic and Trigger, they're in each other's main bases, and their goal here is to make sure that the Nexus is not thrown down. Because of that, because of the pylon blocks, you have to make a Zealot, and you have to make the Stargate. And because both players throw down Stargates, there's a Stargate for Classic, we should be seeing a Stargate from Trigger as well. This does mark the beginning of Phoenix Wars. Assuming that Trigger throws down his tech, what's going on? Hello. You have my attention. Okay, Trigger. Let him cook, Pappy. Let him cook. Goes for the Nexus. Okay, Trigger, he goes for a bit of a delayed expansion here, but an expansion nonetheless. It is faster than that of Classic, so we have broken the chain. Classic does open Stargate into an Oracle, not a Phoenix, as Trigger doesn't have a Stargate himself. So no Phoenix Wars. No Phoenix Wars. I believe Classic is unaware. He has to scout, he has to confirm. Alas, Trigger did open Stalker first. He does zone the Adept away. There's the initial Oracle from Classic, though. Oracle's in production. And now we can settle into our PvP. Stalker does confirm the Oracle, so Trigger is aware. We do have a shield battery here to wall off, denying the Adept. And we should soon be seeing a shield battery in the main. As Trigger does actually bust into the net. Oh my god, he does bust in. And there's the recall. Saves the Stalker. Does waste energy here on the Oracle as well. As he wants to chase down the Zealot. Oh, can he get it? What a mass. Barely not. The 2 HP Zealot survives. And Classic does hold. And now it's time for Classic to move down with his Oracles. It is soon to be time. Back at home, Trigger going for the faster Twilight count, so you can see the Stalkers in position for the Oracle, 2 Stalkers in the main. And he's only got 3 to work with, so it's going to be a very close defense here for Trigger. As Oracles, they can one-shot probes. Double Oracle towards the main. Trigger is somewhat in position. Deb does throw in the shade. Ooh. Oh my, that was close. A very clutch wall up at a Trigger. And Oracles, they dive in, they get 2, they get 3, they get 4. Oh, but the Oracles are going down. Suddenly, this wasn't as worth it here. 4 probes is okay, but 4 probes for 1 Oracle, I would say that's a better trade for Trigger. Is a better trade. Oh no! Oh my god, especially with the second Oracle taking a lot of hits, takes a lot of damage, and is so close to going down. Trigger going for a massive counterattack. Back at home, Classic, he's in trouble. We have a second shield battery on the way. Again, Classic, he invested quite heavily here into the Stargate, into these Oracles, and so far it has not been worth it. Oh no! 1 shot away from going down, and it does go down. Massive pick up. Now Trigger, he can focus on his push, he can focus on his assault. Now there is a shield battery. There is a shield battery in position. Stalker's under fire. Trigger just rallying everything across the map. And he's going for the all-in. Yeah, he's going to be reinforcing behind this. Proxy gateway. Trigger, he's on 3 gates so far, soon to be on 4. Nice control. Nice shuffling here from Trigger. Shuffling his units back. He breaks through into the natural. Trading 1 for 1. Boys being pulled. There's the energy overcharge on the shield battery. Oh. And weakened Stalker taking a lot of damage. Trigger just forcing his way in. He's trying to relying on slow warp-ins though. Boys are being pulled. Trigger denying mining time. Oracle's on the way. There was that 3rd shield battery. Blink is now done for Trigger. Blink still not done for Classic. There's a window in time here where Classic, he's down in that upgrade. He has less micro potential. That's Blink's here out of Trigger. Does pull away. Gets another Stalker. And another. And this is becoming too much. Yeah, Trigger is snowballing out of control. Breaking through with the 2-base all-in. There's that proxy 4th gate on the way. Cybercore taking a lot of damage. Blink is almost done for Classic. And Classic just needs a little bit more time. A little bit more. And it looks like Blink will finish. Okay, he's holding. Classic is holding on. Ooh, Oracle across the map. Oh my god, never mind. The 3rd Oracle goes down. Not like this. Which means, once again, Trigger can just focus on his push. Again, the Oracle control has been very lackluster for Classic. And it may just cost him the game. Nice blink control, though. Controlling well. The last blink is running out. It's not the energy overcharge. Trigger trying to force his way through. Yeah, shield batteries are running out of energy. And Trigger, he should still overwhelm. Looking at the unit stat here, 12 Stalkers to 4. Oh my god. Takes down the gateway, takes down the Cybercore. No more Stalkers here for Classic. He's throwing down the Dark Shrine. Went behind. Go for the Dark Shrine, but GG gets called in. Trigger, he overwhelms, and Trigger takes game number 1. Ooh, GG. GG, well played. I don't know if this was the initial plan of Trigger, but the fact that the Oracles got so little damage and the fact that both Oracles went down at the start of the game, that did kind of like trigger, you know, it did kind of allow for the 2-base all-in to be available, to be viable here for Trigger. It was just a big loss for Classic. Because of that, he was down when it came to his blink timing, down in Stalkers. He was relying so heavily on those Oracles, not necessarily to get damage done, but to stay alive and to keep supply back at home. Like that is one of the strengths of an Oracle opener, is that you keep like 3, 4, 5, 6 Stalkers back at home in each mineral line. They have to defend, and that allows you to have some breathing room to catch up in upgrades and to get a 3rd base and to get into your own game state. But with those first 2 Oracles going down so quickly, I mean, Trigger, he just took advantage of that. He just took advantage of Classic. GG, well played. Trigger does take a lead, and now we're getting into game number 2. Whew. Let's go. Game 2 is going to be, of course, a Classic map of choice. We're going to be loading into King's Cove. Let's go. Here we go, and spawning in the bottom right hand corner of King's Cove, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the Red Protoss representing himself, currently teamless, but we'll see if he can bounce back and force the ace match. The pressure is on. It is Classic. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have the Canadian Protoss player. We have the Blue Protoss representing Basilisk, and also the Korean Clem. It is Trigger. Ay. Let us go. I believe Clem made this tag when he was in Korea a couple of months ago. I wouldn't be surprised if the other like house members were a part of the clan as well. I'm referring to Estrella and Future. Maybe Zane as well. As we are going to be settling in. Hello, Probe. What's going on? As Classic does move out a lot earlier here for an earlier scout. Back at home, walling up on the high ground. Likewise, so is Trigger. 2-gate opener out of Trigger, and it looks to be another 2-gate opener from Classic. So Classic, just a little bit more paranoid, goes for a very early scout. Does confirm that so far everything is looking normal. So far, so good. Cybercore gets placed. Classic trying to force some inefficient mining. And Trigger, he does skip the probe scout, and he's going for a proxy pylon. And the question becomes, is this a real or a fake proxy pylon? Oh boy, it's gonna be a real one. Based on his positioning, interesting. I mean, relatively close by ground. It could just be a Stargate opener to get across the map with an Oracle to get some economic damage. We'll see. We're waiting for the Cybercore. But regardless, it is going to be a proxy. Cybercore just done, and it is going to be one base all in. Proxy Robo. Trigger is going for the one base all in. I'm not in love with the idea on this map, but we'll see. First things first, rush distance by ground is longer, but with a proxy, I mean, that does kind of alleviate that. That is true. Likewise, the natural base can be quite defendable here, but Classic, he delays his expansion. Goes for the Stargate. Now remember, when Creator defended on Whispers of Gold, the reason why Trap initially had a strong... Oh no, he scouts! Oh my god. I was gonna say, the reason why Trap had a stronger start against Creator, if you remember, Creator, he went for a gate into Cybercore. Sorry, he went for a 2-gate opener into an expand. Classy is going gate, Cyber into Stargate into expansion. Void Ray first to defend. I mean, he scouted, he knows. So Void Ray production has begun. Again, a much safer opener by Classic is what I was trying to get at compared to Creator. So a much safer build here by Classic. With the earlier Stargate before expanding. Means early Void Ray production. And it means that Classic, he is gearing up for the defense. And we'll see if Trigger can pull this off. Back at home, third gateway. Third gateway gets placed, which means he's committing to the all-in, of course. Depths have arrived. As they threaten the shade. The Void Ray can zone away the Prism, and the Prism, I mean, there's no anti-air! Uh-oh. The War Prism is in trouble. There we go. We have 2 Stalkers coming in to reinforce. Classic chasing this out on the map. Bold move here at a Classic. But he's not punished. Does pull away. Thankfully, does not overextend. Classic gets to calm down. Throwing down shield batteries. Shield battery at the natural. Shield battery in the main. A second Void Ray soon to arrive. And remember, the longer this goes on, the better it is for Classic. Like, Trigger can still pull this off, especially if the Void Rays overextend. If Trigger is able to catch out these Void Rays out of range of the shield battery, or rotate into the main. Speaking of, Classic is getting ready in the main base here with another shield battery, just in case. Here we go. Oh. This Trigger does poke in. Did Trigger all in the first game? He did not. I mean, he did, but it was a 2-base all in. So Trigger, he 2-base all in game 1. Here, it's a 1-base all in. Regardless aggression. Like, Trigger has been very aggressive in PvPs. So does poke forward. Going for the Void Ray. One Stalker goes down. Up the Prism. Prism takes a little... Oh no! Prism goes down. No more reinforcements. Does trade out 2 of the Void Rays. But there's still a 3rd Void Ray. And again, Classic, he is going to be able to hold on. He shuts down the Stalkers. 3 Stalkers left. And very delayed reinforcements. Takes down the Adept. We have more shield batteries finishing up. Oh my god, that's a wall of shield batteries. Getting up to 5. 5 shield batteries for Classic. Still building up that Void Ray count. I was watching a second one, or I think it was the other way around. Classic Lena. No, remember, I apologize if I didn't explain it correctly. But in game 1, Classic, he opened up Stargate. He lost the first 2 Oracles, and Trigger responded with a 2-base all-in. Because Classic had invested into tech, and because the tech did fall in his face, Classic was behind, and Trigger just punished him. And Trigger, he was able to pull off the 2-base all-in. Here in game number 2, we have something very different, but so far, Classic, it looks like he's able to slow down the all-in quite heavily. Despite that, how many Stalkers? 9. 9 Stalkers for Trigger. The boys are being pulled, but again, there's 5, soon to be 6 shield batteries. He's crazy. So many shield batteries. There's the pulsar beam. And prismatic alignment is activated. The void rays, they go ham. Nice juggling here with that prism. But the army still gets forced back. The soldiers are getting very low. Prismatic alignment running out. 4th void ray on the way. Nice force field. Trigger did kill every single probe. Is crippling the economy. Now going for the Nexus. Now, if Trigger can kill the Nexus, he can expand back at home. He can try to expand, but oh god, he's not going to be able to. Not going to be able to break the base, I mean. As the 4th void ray has arrived, let's focus on the Stalkers. 1 void ray will fall. But that's most of the army crumbling here. Yeah, the Immortal was left on its own. Was abandoned. And Trigger, he does not take down the natural. I did see someone mentioning earlier, like, at what point can Trigger try to expand? It would be if he had killed the natural, right? Like, if he doesn't necessarily kill Classic, but if he's able to take control of the natural base, then he can take his own. But at this point, he's too far behind. To expand, I mean. He's too far behind to expand. He has to get some more economic damage. As Classic, he does break out, takes down the Prism. And soon he can just lay siege up on the proxy. As the Immortal goes down as well. Just 2 Stalkers left, soon to be 5. Nice target firing out of Trigger. Does take down one of the Void Rays, but GG gets called. And Classic will tap the series 1-1. We are going to the ace match. Let's go. Let us go. We're getting into the ace match. I'm not sure I understand how Trigger wasn't able to kill a single void ray. The power of 5 shield batteries. It was crazy just how many shield batteries there were. I mean, Trigger, he was able to snipe some void rays over time. I want to say like maybe 4, maybe 5 void rays. No, I want to say maybe like 4 void rays went down in total. But again, Classic, he was just so well set up there with the concave, with the wall of shield batteries, of course. The power of the prismatic alignment is insane. And with that, GG. GG, well played. This takes us all the way to the ace match. Now, as a reminder, loser's pick. This is Trigger's map of choice, and it's going to be Whispers of Gold. Let's go. We'll see if Trigger can bounce back. Now, as a reminder, Trigger did blindly go for the 1 base all-in, not really knowing what Classic was up to. Remember, Trigger did not probe scout last game, which means he didn't know that Classic went for a very safe opener. That was also another problem that he had to try to overcome, is the fact that Classic did delay his Nexus in favor of Void Ray production, or the Stargate, which led into Void Rays. To be fair, it is also unfortunate that Classic did scout the proxy, so he knew to make a Void Ray first instead of an Orb. But now we're getting into the ace match, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Whispers of Gold, we have the Canadian Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, being forced into the ace match. We'll see if he can bounce back. It is Trigger. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss, tying up the series. He's got momentum on his side. Can he take it even further? It is Classic. And also a shout out to Bashka in the chat. Gracias. Thank you so much for the donation of $2. Thank you. Do appreciate it. Do appreciate the support that we do get on the channel. Again, all the support goes into the tournaments we host and the tournaments we run. Fun fact, we are going to be hosting a show match in a couple of days. We're going to be hosting a New Year's show match featuring Trigger as well. So if you're a Trigger fan, then do look forward to it. Again, it's going to be on New Year's Eve. And fun fact, it's going to be a best of 5 between Trigger and Estrella. We did lock both Trigger and Estrella in, and they will be featured in the show match New Year's Eve. Look forward to it. It's going to be, ideally, the event starts New Year's Eve, and it crosses over into New Year's Day. So it is like a New Year's event on the Cranky Ducklings. We're going to be featuring multiple show matches, not just Trigger and Estrella, but there's going to be a couple more as well. So look forward to that. Again, best of 5s. It's going to be wild. It's going to be crazy. Ideally, we're going to be hosting a show match for each region, so an NA show match, a European show match, and a Korean show match. We're still finalizing some of them, though. As for now, Trigger, calm down. Once again, no probe scout. Trigger, no probe scout. It's a 1 base all-in. It's going to be a 1 base all-in by Trigger once again. As you mentioned, Trigger has been very aggressive and very assertive as of late. Classic this time did open 2 gates. Ooh. Does open with a 2-gate opener. Here comes the initial robo. Now, Classic scouts, and Classic, he sees the pylon is missing. He does confirm the pylon is missing. Now, what are the chances that Trigger is going for an all-in 2 games in a row? Like, this is a bit of a mind game. Because there is also a chance that this is a fake proxy and that there's only a pylon. There could be just a pylon hidden out there on the map, and we could be seeing a very different kind of game state here. So Classic double Adept into double Sentry, but Classic, he's expanding. Yeah, this time expansion before tech. So this time a greedier build compared to previously, which is what Trigger wanted. And now Classic knows. Does he actually? He saw the Stalkers, he did not see the proxy. Yeah, he's not fully aware of what's going on. Safety shield batteries on the way. And Classic, he has yet to piece it all together, as he's only seen the 2 Stalkers, which is not again out of the norm. It was a double Stalker opener at a Trigger. So far, Classic does avoid the Stalkers, rotates towards the right hand side. Getting a 3rd Sentry, he can soon hallucinated Scouts. And the first Immortal has arrived. And if Classic was aware that something was wrong, okay, there we go, Robo. Robo's on the way, very safe response here by Classic. This means eventually Classic will have his own Immortals, but he needs time. He needs time for his own Immortal production. Adepts a threaten to shade towards the main. Meanwhile, here comes the all-in. As now Classic knows no expansion. There's no expansion. Now he knows that there is an all-in coming. There we go, 2nd shield batteries on the way. And again, the longer this goes on, the better it's going to be for Classic. Trigger, he's waiting for his War Prism before he commits. Additional sentries on the way. With the War Prism, Trigger, he can just go straight into the main. And he does attempt to, but there's plenty of anti-air. Mortal does unload. Prism takes a lot of hits, takes a lot of damage. Boys are being pulled into the Adepts. Reinforcements, they do somewhat arrive. Stalkers, they're helping from the low ground as well. And nice control so far. Nice juggling here out of Trigger. Takes down 4 workers, but the Immortal is on the way for Classic. And Classic needs a little bit more time. The Immortal is halfway done. Trigger, he rotates to the low ground. Decent force field. He exposes the shield battery. Shield battery goes down. There's 1 shield battery left. Nice force field once again, just zoning away most of the army. Depowers the shield battery. Takes out the pylon. Some very nice pickups. Ooh. Trigger, he will lose 1 Adept. 1 Adept goes down. 2nd Immortal has arrived. Again, these force fields just constantly just zoning away the army. Now going for the Nexus, and we spoke about this. If the Nexus goes down, then Trigger can expand. Nexus taking a lot of damage. Nice force field here at a Classic. Ooh, he does not get the Sentry. The base is getting low. And it looks like the base should go down. It's going to be close, though. Still going to be close. Classic is barely holding. Warps in more sentries. Takes down another Adept. Every unit counts. War Prism's on the way for Classic as well. Yeah, he's forcing back the army. Gets another sentry. And Trigger bleeding out a lot of units there in a short period of time. He's forced back. Dropping into the main. Gets an Adept. Doesn't quite get anything else. Likewise, War Prism has now arrived for Classic. Trigger dropping into the mineral line, going for the Immortal. Oh my god, so close. Barely does not get it. The Immortal survives. And Classic now is able to saturate. He's able to saturate that natural. Or at least start to. Trigger, he's up to 4 Immortals. That's a lot of Immortals. I love this. He does kind of shuffle them around. Replenishes the Immortals. Bring back into the main. Ooh. Almost does bring down the Immortal. It's 1 shot away from going down. Here's 1 shot away. Barely does not get it. As Trigger takes a lot of hits. Rotating back in. Oh! Has to be careful. A lot of hull damage dealt. Prism under fire. Should survive. Up to 5 Immortals. Jesus. And again, so important that even though Trigger, he was bleeding out some Adepts and Sentries, but he has preserved every single Immortal so far. Force fields, they turn them away. Very nice force fields here from Classic. Does turn away the Immortals. 1 Immortal is so close to going down as well. Oh. Force fields were on point. But now there's not many left. They're going for the warp in. Trigger trying to rotate in. Boys are being pulled. The Immortals are trying to do what they can. And it looks like Trigger, he might just be... Yeah, he does have enough. 6 Immortals! He's crazy! 6 Immortals, they break on through. There's only 2 Immortals remaining here for a Classic. And alas, there's just no way for him to hold on. Not against this heavy of an army. This large of an army even. It's insane. Takes out both Immortals. And GG gets caught. Trigger, he snowballs out of control. And Trigger takes the series 2-1. Advancing on to the semifinals. GG. Whew. Oh my god. GG, well played. Trigger with an insane immortal count towards the end there, up to 5, up to 6 immortals. Again, able to preserve them over time, able to outtrade as well. It's just some really clinical micro in the lead up to those final moments. If you remember, initially we had some really nice moments out of Trigger, able to snipe the pylon, able to snipe the pylon, the shield battery, a couple of adepts, a couple of sentries, force fielding the ramp time and time again, just making Classic that much more uncomfortable early on, having to reinvest into additional shield batteries and trying to keep up with, of course, the harass. And it was all in purpose of just building up that immortal count, just slowly over time to eventually overwhelm its opponents. So very nice control there by Trigger. GG. GG, well played. Trigger takes down Classic once again. And again, if you haven't been watching Trigger over the past couple of weeks, this has been more of a regular occurrence, specifically in PvP. I want to emphasize that I'm of the opinion, at least currently, that Trigger's best matchup is PvP. When, like, we've been seeing him take down Classic, take down Hero again, and take down some other key Protoss players like Creator, like Trap. It's been really cool to see Trigger just thrive here in this environment, but a lot of it has been coming down to his control and coming down to these kind of game states, like winding it back. Remember, game 1, Trigger, he 2-base all in. Game 2 and 3, 1-base all-ins. Like, just some really aggressive builds, but it isn't just the aggressive builds, it's also the control. Like, Trigger's micro and his control has been something that he's been relying on quite heavily in these PvPs. And it's been looking really good. Like, he has some really, really solid control, really solid micro. And he has been able to overwhelm his opponents as a result. And with that, we have 1 match left. We have 1 quarterfinals remaining. It is going to be a ZVT between Rogue and Oliveira. Let's go.